Are you unsure of how much your motorcycle wiring should actually be wrapped? Some builders fully loom everything, some zip tie, and they'll both tell you their way is the best way. If you're building or rewiring a bike, that can make it hard to know what actually matters. So I'll break that down. I'm not showing a single right way on how to wire a motorcycle. I'm showing how to decide what gets loomed and what doesn't. This is about protection, not perfection. A motorcycle isn't one environment. Different parts of the bike live very different lives. So wiring protection should match the environment it's in. When I'm deciding how to protect wiring, there are only a few things that actually matter: movement, abrasion, heat, UV exposure, and serviceability. Everything else is just secondary. Wiring loom isn't decoration, it's not a quality signal. It's a tool to solve a specific problem. And if there isn't a problem to solve, loom isn't going to magically make things better. So let's look at this bike, and I'll go over why some of the sections are fully loomed and why some aren't. So here's the frame of the bike and the wire routing on it. As you can see, most of it's not loomed. Now there are some spots that I'm going to be checking out for rubbing, and I'll add some silicone tape later. But this is mostly how it's going to look. And moving up towards the entry for the headlight, you can see that that is loomed. I'm moving the handlebars, and as you can see, the braided loom protects the wire bundle going into the headlight bucket. You can see how the braided loom expands when it gets moved, and that helps keep friction down on the wires. Here I like to keep everything tight while it's on the frame, but as we get closer to the connectors, I like to leave some extra wire and not too tight so it has some give and absorbs vibration. There are two things going on here. One is the rubber grommet protecting the wire bundle going into the headlamp bucket, as well as I like to put heat shrink adhesive down on the wire bundle, then put the loom over, and then put another heat shrink down. This adds extra protection and rigidity for such a high stress area. Here's the wire bundle on the inside of the headlight bucket. You can see the rubber grommet and the heat shrink, and that creates a real tight fitting. So it takes stress when the handlebars are moving from the wires on the inside, and I'll come up and route them down. Here's the wire routing on the handlebars. Now this is actually a relatively static position that has low movement stress. But not only does it look better having all the wires wrapped in black, it also is an area of high UV damage. Here are the wires for the brake light switch. Now, even though they're black and they look good, they still need to be wrapped because in this state, they're prone to UV damage. The wires going to the top of the engine case here are very prone to vibration and abrasion, physical damage. So even though there will be a grommet that gets put into here, I will wrap them with some self-adhesive silicone tape to ensure more protection. Anywhere wiring moves, it gets protected. Handlebars, headlight entry, any tail sections. These areas see constant motion and strain, so they're loomed for abrasion, flex fatigue, and strain relief. Routing itself is a form of protection, and loom supports good routing, but doesn't replace it. One thing a lot of people overlook is UV damage. Even black insulated wire that looks good on the outside isn't UV protected. UV degrades insulation slowly and without obvious warning. So if wiring is exposed to sunlight, it needs protection. UV protection is easily avoidable. Basically, if the whole bike's together and you see any wires that aren't wrapped, wrap them. And that will solve pretty much any UV problems that you're going to have. One mistake is overwrapping everything. Fully loomed harnesses are hard to diagnose and modify. Another mistake is underthinking protection and assuming static wires are safe. When I'm deciding what to protect, I ask a few simple questions. Does it move? Does it rub? Does it get hot? Does it see direct sunlight? And will I need to access it later? Again, to reiterate, if it moves, protect it. If it rubs, protect it. If it gets hot, protect it. If it sees direct sunlight, protect it. Don't add complexity where it doesn't help. This isn't about making wiring look perfect. It's about building bikes that survive real use. Good wiring is intentional and not excessive. If this kind of breakdown is useful, I'll do more like it.